The silence in the courtroom was deafening. Robert Wellington, Chicago real estate tycoon, wearing a suit that cost more than Janet earned in 6 months, glared at his two high-priced attorneys like he wanted to strangle them. No one had prepared for this, facing a 9-year-old boy quoting international law. Janet Thompson, a nursing assistant who worked 60 hours a week to raise her son David alone, sat frozen. In the 8 years since Robert had found out he had a son, he'd shown up exactly 4 times, always with expensive gifts and empty promises. And now, out of nowhere, he wanted full custody. "Your Honor," said Robert's lead attorney, Dr. Mitchell, tightening his tie, "this is highly irregular. The child has no legal capacity to. If you really cared about my well-being, you'd want to hear what I have to say instead of trying to silence me," David interrupted calmly. A ripple of discomfort swept through the courtroom. Robert leaned over to whisper something to Dr. Mitchell, but David was already opening his worn notebook. "Your Honor," he said evenly, "I've prepared a presentation showing why I should stay with my mother and proof of the petitioner's true motives." He paused, locking eyes with his father. "Motives I believe the court will find enlightening." Robert's face paled. How had this kid prepared better than a team of millionaire lawyers? Everyone in that silent courtroom knew they were witnessing something extraordinary. A boy holding secrets powerful enough to bring down empires built on lies. Dr. Mitchell regained his composure. "Your Honor, while we admire the child's creativity, this court deals with complex family law. He needs proper legal representation." David shut his notebook with a sharp snap. "Then why didn't anyone provide one for me?" The judge raised an eyebrow. The boy's calm confidence made every adult in the room uneasy. Janet whispered, "David, maybe we should let the lawyers—" "What lawyers, Mom?" he said gently. "We can't afford Dr. Mitchell or his friends, so either I speak for us or no one speaks." Robert finally found his voice. "David, son, I know this is confusing for you. Don't call me son." David's words cut through the air. "In 9 years, you've shown up 4 times. 2 late birthdays, 1 Christmas between social events, and once for a charity photo shoot. The last time you came over, you spent 15 minutes complaining about our furniture and the smell of medicine from Mom's hospital job. Then 2 weeks later, you filed for custody." Dr. Mitchell leaned in to whisper something, but David wasn't done. "Your Honor, I researched my biological father. I found out he recently lost an expensive lawsuit, his 3rd wife filed for divorce, and I discovered something interesting about a trust fund my late grandmother established." Robert's face turned white. "My grandmother, Eleanor Wellington, left a trust fund of $1.7 million for me, accessible only when I turn 18 or if my father gains full custody." The courtroom froze. "She died when I was 2. My father never even told her I existed, but when she found out through a private investigator, she created that trust with one condition: he could access it only by proving he was a committed father. Now that he's broke, suddenly he wants custody." Dr. Mitchell shot up. "Your Honor, these are baseless accusations." "I can prove everything," David said calmly, pulling out a manila folder. 17 lawsuits over the last 5 years. Wellington Industries buying small family businesses for pennies after using insider information. He spread out photos. "Here's the Santos family. They owned a bakery. Mr. Wellington found out through a banker friend that their son was in the hospital and they were behind on payments. He took their property the next week." Robert slammed his fist on the table. "This has nothing to do with it." "It has everything to do with it," David snapped, "because it shows a pattern, preying on vulnerable families, just like he's doing now." The judge flipped through the documents, expression hardening. "Where did you get this information?" "Public court records, newspaper archives, corporate databases. Mrs. Rodriguez, the head librarian, taught me how to find them." Janet stared at her son in awe. All those afternoons at the library weren't for homework. He'd been building a case. Robert exploded. "This is ridiculous. A 9-year-old can't—" "It's public information, sir," David interrupted. "All perfectly legal." The judge nodded slowly. "Proceed, David." "I also discovered," David continued, "that my father planned to send me to Riverside Military Academy right after gaining custody. It's a boarding school in Colorado." "So what?" Robert said. David reached into his backpack and pulled out a small recorder. "Because I recorded him saying it." The entire courtroom froze. David pressed play, and Robert's voice filled the room. "Once I get custody, the kid's going straight to Riverside. Strict boarding school. They'll keep him quiet. I'll have access to the inheritance for educational expenses. $500 a month for tuition, the rest's mine. Perfect setup. The mother's out of the picture." Janet gasped, covering her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. David continued, "That's what he really thinks of me." Robert's voice played again. "The problem's the boy's too smart. He asks too many questions. Best to keep him away until he's 18. Robert jumped up, shouting, "This is a setup. He provoked me." "A 9-year-old can't what? Can't defend himself? Can't tell the truth?" The judge slammed his gavel. "Mr. Wellington, sit down or I'll have you removed." David turned to the final page of his notebook. "Your Honor, there's one last thing." He took a deep breath. "I found a letter from my grandmother in the estate records, one addressed to me. She wrote that she created the trust to protect me from my father. If he ever tried to use me for money, I should use that same trust to defend myself." The courtroom was silent. "She even hired investigators who documented his frauds. It's all filed with the fund administrator." Robert slumped in his chair. He knew it was over. Judge Harrison took a long breath. "Based on the evidence, financial, testimonial, and recorded, the custody petition is denied. Furthermore, I am ordering a full investigation into possible fraudulent use of trust funds." Robert's lawyer whispered frantically, but it was too late. As officers escorted Robert out in handcuffs, David closed his notebook quietly. "Your Honor, I didn't do this out of anger. I did it because every child deserves a family that truly loves them, not one that sees them as a financial opportunity."
3 years later, David Thompson's life had changed in ways even he couldn't have imagined. His courage had not only saved his family, it had reshaped how the justice system viewed the voices of children forever.